Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israel will not relent in its resolve to achieve its war objectives as it enters into the 600th day of conflict versus the Islamist Hamas since the atrocities it committed on October 7th of 2023. U.S. President Donald Trump says nuclear talks with Iran are going well despite reported major gaps. Iran threatens to hold the U.S. responsible for any Israeli strike on its nuclear installations. Israel will not relent in its resolve to achieve its war objectives as it enters into the 600th day of conflict since the Islamist Hamas launched its atrocities against the people of Israel on October 7th of 2023. During an address at a state ceremony commemorating the Six-Day War and the reunification of Israel's capital, Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu highlighted that the baton for the defense of the State of Israel passes on from generation to generation, and that similar to the decisive victory which Israel had achieved during the Six-Day 1967 war, it will achieve a decisive victory in its war against Hamas today. Netanyahu continued by asserting that Jerusalem can never accept a withdrawal from territories that had granted Israel its defensible borders, which were achieved at the culmination of the 1967 multi-front war.
הניצחון המזהיר שלנו לפני 58 שנים מנע מעשי טבח גדולים פי כמה. קשה להאמין זאת, אבל פי כמה ממה שקרה ב7 באוקטובר. לתוקפינו היו תוכניות מוכנות לפרוץ לשכונות בירושלים המערבית כדי להשמיד כל מי שנקרא בדרכם. כשהחרב הונחה על צווארנו, קמנו כאיש אחד, התלכדנו והשבנו מלחמה שערה. כוח החיים שלנו, בדיוק כפי שקורה היום, הוכח כגורם משנה מציאות. בזכותו הפכנו את הקערה על פיה ושינינו את המציאות במזרח התיכון. בתום מלחמת ששת הימים מצאנו את עצמנו בגבולות בני הגנה. מי ששוגה באשליות ומוכן לוותר על ההישגים הללו כלאחר יד, פשוט מזמין מתקפות נוספות על אזרחי ישראל, בירושלים, בכביש 6, בשרון, בגוש דן, בדרום, בצפון, בכל מקום. כי זה מה שהשגנו במלחמת ששת הימים. השגנו את קיר המגן שמונע את כיבוש מדינתנו מהמזרח, מהגבול הארוך ביותר, ובפוטנציה הפגיע ביותר. ישראל היום חזקה עם גבולות חזקים.
With regard to Jerusalem, the Israeli premier emphasized that the city, in contrast to empires that reigned over the territory, was exclusively the capital of the people of Israel since the old days of King David.
המחיצות נפלו, הדרכים ללא מוצא נפתחו, ירושלים שוב חוברה לה יחדיו. והאמת ההיסטורית, שאנחנו תמיד ידענו אותה, האמת ההיסטורית הזאת קיבלה משנה תוקף. מאז ומעולם הייתה ירושלים בירתו של עם ישראל ובירתו של עם ישראל בלבד. מעצמות זרים משלו כאן, מי יותר ומי פחות, אבל אף אחד מהם לא העניק לירושלים מעמד של בירה. רק העם היהודי, שקשור לירושלים אלפי שנים, יכול להתגאות בהיותה בירת ממלכתו של דוד המלך ועירם של שני בתי מקדש. שמעתי לאחרונה שראש הרשות הפלסטינית טוען שבתי המקדש היו בכלל בתימן. אז יש לי חדשות בשבילו. הכחשת האמת אינה עובדת יותר. בתי המקדש עמדו במלוא תפארתם פה, קילומטר מכאן, על הר המוריה.
While 5 IDF divisions are currently maneuvering throughout the Gaza Strip with escalating pressure on the Islamist Hamas reportedly gaining significant operational achievements, with hundreds of terror operatives eliminated. A number of European states, which have deepened collaborative efforts to pressure Jerusalem to halt its advance on Hamas, to include Spain, Slovenia, Norway, and Ireland, are desperately calling for an arms embargo on Israel.
Todos tenemos que poner en marcha un embargo de armas. No puede haber venta de armamentos a Israel. Oriente Medio lo último que necesita en estos momentos son armamento. Y tenemos que revisar la lista nacional de sancionados individuales que tenemos cada uno de nosotros y también la Unión Europea, para estar seguros que no permitimos que aquellos que no quieren la solución de dos estados, que todos sabemos que es la solución definitiva para conseguir paz y estabilidad para Oriente Medio, puedan triunfar y hagan inviable un Estado palestino sobre el terreno.
The remarks by the Spanish foreign minister are seemingly falling on deaf ears among nations that matter, since the countries that are imposing an arms embargo on Israel have been quite marginal when we're talking about weapon sales to the State of Israel. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, whose country is known to employ Islamist terror proxies against countries such as neighboring India, hosted Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, during the course of which the latter, whose own IRGC, have been waging the proxy war against Israel since October 7th of 2023, emphasized that Tehran and Islamabad were united in their support for the so-called Palestinian cause, a reference to Hamas's aspirations to annihilate the Jewish state.
ایران و پاکستان به عنوان اعضای فعال سازمان همکاری اسلامی پشتیبان آرمان فلسطین و حامی مردم بی‌پناه غزه است و تداوم جنایات رژیم صهیونیستی در غزه و سکوت و حمایت کشورهای غرب رو به شدت محکوم می‌کنیم.
The Pakistani Prime Minister, for his part, seized the opportunity to highlight Islamabad's support for Tehran's nuclear aspirations.
We fully support Iran's right to have, for civilian use, peaceful nuclear program.
It is important to know that earlier this week, U.S. President Donald Trump highlighted that he was hopeful about the diplomatic discourse with Iran in parallel to efforts to achieving breakthrough vis-a-vis the Gaza Strip.
Very importantly, we had some very good talks with Iran yesterday and today, and let's see what happens. But I think we could have some good news on the Iran front. Likewise with Hamas on Gaza. We want to see if we can stop that. And Israel, we've been talking to them, and we want to see if we can stop that whole situation as quickly as possible. But having to do with nuclear, we've had some very, very good talks with Iran, and I don't know if I'll be telling you anything good or bad over the next 2 days, but I have a feeling I might be telling you something good. We've had some real progress, serious progress.
President Trump went on to stress that while he doesn't know what may happen tomorrow, he regarded the talks with Iran as going very well.
I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I can tell you the Iran talks have been going very well.
And you said you're unhappy.
And I'd love that to happen, because I'd love to see no bombs dropped and a lot of people dead. I really would like to see that happen.
In contrast to President Trump's assessment that nuclear negotiations were going well, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, insisted that the American president was in fact a liar. Moreover, while the Trump administration asserted zero enrichment as its red line, the Islamic Republic of Iran remains unwavering on its right to enrich uranium, irrespective of its potential military dimensions.
موضوع غنیسازی به عنوان بخش لاینفک انرژی هسته‌ای صلح‌آمیز و صنعت هسته‌ای جمهوری اسلامی ایران حتماً باید حفظ بشه. ما به هیچ عنوان مجاز نیستیم که در این مورد کوچکترین نرمشی نشون بدیم و بنابراین پیشنهادهایی که مطرح میشه از طرف‌های مختلف از جمله عمان قاعدتاً این خط قرمز خیلی پررنگ ما رو حتما مد نظر قرار خواهد داشت.
Alongside Iran's continued rejection to forgo its enrichment program, the Ayatollah regime sent a document to the International Atomic Energy Agency in which it, quote, strongly warns against any adventurism on the part of the Zionist regime of Israel and shall respond decisively to any threat or unlawful act committed by this regime, per its letter. The threat further highlighted that Iran is of the firm conviction that in the event of any attack against Iran's nuclear facilities, it would hold the United States legally responsible and that Washington would be regarded as complicit. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please keep praying for the hostages who've endured now 599 days in Hamas captivity. Pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hessen wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.